When you live to be 102 years old, silence becomes your closest companion. Not the painful kind at first, just the kind that lingers in the corners of a wooden house when the wind brushes against it in the early morning. I wake up most days before the sun does. My bones creak louder than the floorboards now, and I sit at the edge of my bed for a moment, letting my heart catch up with my body. My name is Clara Whitfield. I am 102 years old. I live alone in a small wooden house in Virginia. The paint is fading, the porch sags just a little, and the mailbox leans as if it's tired too. I suppose we're aging together. I have outlived my husband. I have outlived my siblings. I have outlived most of my friends. I even outlived my only child. That is not something a mother ever prepares for. When people say, "You're so lucky to have lived so long," I smile gently. Longevity is not the same as luck. Sometimes it feels like being the last tree standing after the forest has burned. There is a strange weight that comes with being the last witness to so many lives. I carry stories no one else remembers. I remember my husband's laugh when he would pretend to be serious but couldn't hold it. I remember the smell of my mother's kitchen in the summer of 1935. I remember my son running across a field in overalls, waving back at me like he would never run out of time. But time runs out for everyone. Except, somehow, it didn't run out for me. When my husband passed, I thought my heart would stop from the emptiness. We had been married for 61 years. 61 years of shared coffee cups, shared grief, shared quiet evenings. When he left this world, the house felt enormous. I would set the table for two out of habit. I would turn my head to tell him something and find only air. Grief is not loud the way people imagine. It's not constant sobbing or dramatic collapse. It's quieter. It's making tea for one instead of two. It's folding one towel instead of two. It's realizing no one will ask how your day was. I thought that was the hardest loss I could endure. I was wrong. The day I buried my child, something inside me aged 50 years in a single afternoon. No parent expects to stand beside their child's grave. The earth looked too fresh, too unfair. People told me, "You're strong, Clara." I didn't feel strong. I felt hollow. Strength isn't something you feel. It's something you do when there is no other choice. After that, friends began disappearing one by one. Phone numbers stopped working. Christmas cards stopped arriving. The circle grew smaller until it was just me at the center of an empty room. There were nights I would sit in this wooden house and ask God, "Why am I still here?" Not angrily, just honestly. What purpose does a 102-year-old woman serve? I cannot run marathons. I cannot lift heavy things. I move slowly. I forget small details. The world changes faster than I can understand it. But then one morning, as I sat on my porch watching the sunrise stain the Virginia sky pink and gold, I realized something. I am still here because I am meant to witness. When you live this long, you see patterns. You see how people rush through love as if it is endless. You see how pride ruins relationships that could have been saved by one apology. You see how anger steals decades from a person's peace. I made those mistakes too. In my 40s, I stopped speaking to my sister for almost 7 years. 7 years over something so small I can barely remember it now. I thought I was right. I thought time would wait for us to fix it. It didn't. We reconciled, but we never got those 7 years back. Pride is expensive. It charges interest. In my 50s, I worked too much. I thought providing was the same as loving. It isn't. Loving is presence. Loving is sitting at the table and listening, even when you're tired. I missed moments I can never replay. In my 60s, I began to understand that life is not a ladder. It is a garden. You do not climb it. You tend to it. You water relationships. You pull the weeds of resentment. You plant seeds of kindness long before you see the bloom. Now, at 102, I move slowly through my days. I sweep the same porch my husband built with his own hands. I cook simple meals. I talk to his photograph sometimes. I am not losing my mind. I just believe love does not vanish when a body does. Loneliness used to terrify me. Now I see it differently. Loneliness is proof that you love deeply. You cannot miss what you never valued. The ache is evidence of connection. But here is the truth most people do not want to hear. If you do not learn to sit peacefully with yourself, old age will feel like a prison. I had to learn to forgive myself for the sharp words, for the late nights at work, for the times I chose stubbornness over softness. Carrying regret into old age is like dragging a heavy trunk up a hill every single day. So I began a quiet ritual. Every evening before bed, I would say out loud, "Clara, you did the best you could with what you knew." And slowly, I began to believe it. People imagine that reaching 102 means I must have some grand secret. I don't drink from a magical fountain. I simply endured. I adapted. I forgave. I let go. Let me tell you something about letting go. It is not giving up. It is choosing peace over control. I cannot control that my husband is gone. I cannot control that my child left this earth before me. I cannot control that my friends have faded into memory, but I can control whether I wake up bitter or grateful. Every morning, I choose gratitude, not the loud kind you post about, the quiet kind, the kind that notices the warmth of sunlight on old hands, the kind that appreciates the sound of birds arguing in the trees, the kind that whispers, "Thank you for one more day." There were years I feared death. Now I see it as an old friend waiting patiently, not frightening, just inevitable. When you have lived this long, death loses its sharp edges. It becomes part of the rhythm. What frightens me more is watching younger people waste their lives on things that will not matter. Arguments over politics that destroy families, chasing money beyond what is needed, comparing your life to strangers on glowing screens. None of that will comfort you when you are sitting alone in a quiet house. What will comfort you are the moments you chose love over ego, the times you showed up, the forgiveness you offered before it was asked for. I have learned that the most powerful words in the English language are not, "I love you." They are, "I'm sorry." And right behind them is, "I forgive you." If you are listening to me and there is someone you have not spoken to because of pride, call them. Not tomorrow, today. You think you have time. I promise you, time is the most fragile thing you own. I used to believe life was about achievement. Now I know it is about alignment. Are your actions aligned with your heart? Or are you living according to fear? Fear kept me silent many times. Fear of looking weak, fear of rejection, fear of loss. But loss came anyway. It always does. The only thing fear accomplished was stealing joy from moments that were meant to be savored. At 102, I find joy in small rituals. The way the kettle hums before it whistles. The texture of an old quilt stitched by hands long gone. The creak of the rocking chair that has memorized my shape. I no longer rush. There is nowhere urgent to be. Slowness is a gift the young rarely appreciate. When you slow down, you see details. You notice the way shadows stretch across the floor in late afternoon. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. And sometimes, in that stillness, you meet yourself for the first time. Many people live entire lives without ever sitting quietly with who they are. They distract themselves with noise, work, drama, entertainment. But when all of that fades, as it eventually does, you are left with you. Make sure you are someone you can sit with. I am not perfect. I am not endlessly cheerful. There are days when the weight of memory feels heavy. There are nights when I reach across the bed and remember emptiness. But I do not resent my years. To live long is to gather layers. Some are heavy, some are beautiful, all are meaningful. If I could place one piece of wisdom into your hands, it would be this. Do not postpone tenderness. Do not wait for a funeral to say what you feel. Do not wait for illness to prioritize rest. Do not wait for retirement to pursue joy. Life does not announce when it is about to change. I have watched the world transform in ways my younger self could never imagine. Cars faster than dreams. Phones that hold entire libraries. News that travels instantly. Yet the human heart has not changed at all. We still crave belonging. We still fear abandonment. We still long to be understood. When I sit on my porch in Virginia and watch children ride bicycles down the road, I see the same innocence I once carried. They believe life is endless. I do not want to take that belief from them, but I wish I could whisper gently, value this. Because one day you will look around and realize you are the oldest voice in the room, and the silence will ask you what you did with your time. I hope when that day comes for you, your answer is not filled with regret. Mine is not perfect, but it is peaceful. I loved deeply. I lost painfully. I forgave slowly. I endured quietly, and I am still here, not as a relic, not as a burden, but as a witness to the miracle and fragility of being alive. If you are younger than me, which you most certainly are, please understand this. Aging is not the enemy. Bitterness is. Isolation is. Unresolved anger is. Grow older, yes, but also grow softer, grow wiser, grow kinder. Because one day, you may wake up at 102 years old in a quiet wooden house with sunlight slipping through lace curtains, and you will realize that the only things that truly mattered were love, forgiveness, and the courage to be gentle in a harsh world. And if you can say that with peace in your heart, then you have lived well.